decided that the Jews should be killed, and he doesn't know that God has provided a solution in the name of Esther. And from that very moment, the water was still stirred up. She went to the king's palace against the law of the kingdom. In fact, she was supposed to be killed. The same thing that brought judgment to Vashti brought mercy to Esther. Why? A water was stirred up. What was meant to kill others cannot kill you, because a water is stirred up. If you can pray in the spirit and open a new season upon your life, I don't care how much your enemies trouble you, there is a way that in their presence you will continue to rise. There is a lifter of men, there is the maker of men, there is the helper of men. When God back a man, you see, it will be an evil thing for you to stand by the front. You'll be killed, you'll be crushed as nothing. From that very moment, anybody that stood against Esther and anybody Esther like died. Why? Because a water was stirred up. In fact, that judgment became mercy. Why? A water was stirred up. In our fear, if I perish, I perish. You cannot perish. It's about a miracle service. There is an operation of the spirit in that day, and according to that order, everything will work for your favor. There are seasons and times when it looks as though a valve is open in the spirit. Certain things are happening good for you. Take advantage of that season and dig more. You'll be shocked. That little cloud that you saw that looked like a rain is actually the fountain of an overflow. It doesn't need to make sense. You are asking God for 1 million naira. Somehow God sends somebody, the person sent 10,000. Know that it's just one. It means that there is a water. He's stirred. 10,000 come. Don't remain there. Say, God, I asked for 1 million, give me 10,000. Go deeper again. What did you do that make the 10,000 come? Multiply that thing, you do again. Before you know it, within the next week, you see another 50,000. Don't say, God, I asked for 1 million. Continue again. Before you wake up, you will now realize in the law of consistency lies the power thereof. Everybody you shoot did not blow, they grow. There is a way they go gradually, and they were faithful with the Lord as the Lord was faithful to them. You must be able to understand. It was gradual. Esther came into the palace. Gradual, the same favor upon her brought her to a point where she delivered the Jews. Mordecai said, who would have known that you are born for such a time as this? Help us. Why? Because it's part of your ordination. In that very moment, to make the matter worse, do you realize that the king could not rest? There was something that Mordecai saw, how men plotted to kill the king, and nobody reported it. In fact, Mordecai reported the thing, nobody cared about it. But a day, a book of remembrance was stirred up. There are things that can make king not to sleep. In fact, the governor of Lafia, the governor of Nasarawa state can wake up one day and say, I'm looking for who is blessing. They will bring every blessing they know. They will say, no, I didn't see this one in my dream. It is you that I see. There is something that can happen that men cannot but do but favor you. These are the things that happen when the waters are stirred up. And in a miracle service such as this, one of your greatest prayer is not just about God heal my eyes, heal my leg. You can still remain in that poverty. Is God turn my life around? Let it happen. Like you see, let it. The Bible says, when the Lord turn again our captivity, to be as if we dream. Let me sleep today a pauper, wake up tomorrow a wonder. Let God do the sign, let men do the wonder. I end with this story of Ruth. When you go to the book of Ruth chapter 1, the book of Ruth chapter 1, I don't have the time to read it. I want to end in the next 5 minutes so that we can pray. In the book of Ruth chapter 1, the Bible speaking said there was a family. No, Ruth, the book of Ruth chapter 1. There was a family. It opened with a very terrible tragedy. What is the tragedy? Naomi's husband wake up one day, they left the land of Bethlehem, Judah, and they begin to advance towards another land of Moab. When they went to the land, if you read the story of the Moabite and the Amorite, you know that God doesn't work with them. Moabite is a land full of all kinds of curses. The genesis of the Moabite and the Amorite is actually a genesis of idolatry, a genesis of abomination and all kinds of things. How can you leave the house where God dwells and you are going to the house where the devil dwells? You think you will prosper? They left the house of bread looking for bread. That was a misplaced of priority. They did not understand that a water cannot be stirred in Moabite. They ran from the house of Bethlehem, Judah, and they advanced to Moab. Her and her husband, Naomi. I don't know what happened. I don't know which dream they saw, but I was sure that God never spoke to them. They wake up on their own. They want to advance towards Moab. Maybe offense made them left. Maybe they were trying to come. Maybe it's just something. You know, there is that temptation that is coming upon you to leave the will of God. It's a dangerous spot to be. I will show you the danger of advancing towards Moab. These people were doing well in Bethlehem, Judah, and they begin to advance to Moab. Immediately they enter Moab, the Bible said the husband died. And Elimelech died. Why? He entered a land that God has cursed. A land that God has cursed. You want to come and sanctify it. Who are you? A priest? Even priests depend upon the oracles of the Lord. If the Lord did not speak, a priest speak, he can die. So he did not understand that no matter his authority in the spirit, he stands by the word of God. When they left and they go, the Bible says he died. To make the matter worse, as he died, you will now understand why Naomi say her name is Mara. Why? He has two children. His two children married Oprah and Ruth, right? All of the children died. The curse upon the Moab is to kill every man, and everybody that is a man in that land must die. Why? There was a famine that does not kill women, it kills men. If the famine was meant to kill women, they would have died too. For men to die and women not to die, it means that the curse was targeted exactly towards men, so that the genealogy can end. Without a man, there cannot be conception, except women open themselves to demonic spirit. And because in that land, it was already designed to be so, all the men, heir apparent to the throne, died. And all of them died. As they died, suddenly, Naomi wake up one day and say, so, now that everybody has died, nobody in this land to marry you guys within our kindred. Can you people go? All of the wives were free. Of course, I taught you, according to the law, immediately when you marry your husband die, you are free to go. So she told them, can you go? Oprah ran away from that very first day. I mean, that one is a fine girl we don't love Jesus, because she no one suffer. She just pack her load and said bye-bye. It was only who that stood and told Naomi, your God will be my God, your people will be my people. Wherever you go, I will go. Where you die, I will die. That is the power of loyalty. From that very moment, God marked her word. And in the days when Naomi began to advance back to Bethlehem of Judah, as she went back to Bethlehem of Judah, as she went there, when you advance to chapter 2, because of course they were into agriculture. Immediately when she went there, she went and began to get into agriculture as usual. And before you know it, that was how they encountered Boaz. And Boaz was actually part of their kindred. And according to the law in their kindred, Boaz is supposed to actually marry her, because since her husband died, somebody within the family has to marry her. But to make the matter worse, Boaz was not the only one. There is another person that was supposed to actually continue in the lineage. That other one said he doesn't want. Why? He is not a Ziba. He is not a helper. And he refused. Boaz immediately saw Ruth. He fell in love with her. From that very moment, and the Bible says Boaz was a very, very wealthy man, and yet again he was there and he was not married. Imagine the power of how God did this. That how when the waters were stirred up, what looked like a reproach, what looked like a disappointment, was what brought her glory. Her husband died, all kinds of things happened. In fact, there was famine in that land, but the famine returned them back to where God has put them. Sometimes some of the things that happen in your life is to return you to where God has put you. It may not make sense, but that's how it is. One of the prayers we have to pray this night: oh God, shake the foundation of my conviction, shake the foundation of my belief. If peradventure I'm walking in the path you don't want, scatter it. In fact, let everything go back so that I can return back to Bethlehem of Judah. Many of you have to return back to your first love, return back to where you start from, so that you can begin to advance. Until Naomi leg stepped into Bethlehem of Judah, she could not prosper. Everything that happened in Moab was destruction. When she entered Judah in Bethlehem, suddenly things begin to work. That was where they met Boaz. That was where their life began to advance. In fact, before you know it, they became married. That is the power of how God helped men. I want to let you understand, it doesn't matter whatsoever that's going wrong in your life. There is a way that God can orchestrate everything again and route it back. Rise up on your feet as we pray. Just 1 minute and ask the Lord before we go into the communion. And say, oh God, whatsoever thing that has gone wrong in my life, this night begin to route it back. Begin to route it. Let there be a stirring up. I know you have been reported several times, failed several times, I understand. But there is the ministration of the help of God. I know things that have gone so wrong, go so bad. Ask the Lord and say, oh God, I know you can route things again. You are not the first that have failed. You are not the first that have been disappointed. Many have gone through the same betrayal. They rose up again in strength and in power.